Day 535 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 1403, minimum subsequence in non-increasing order. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. Given the array nums, obtain a subsequence of the array whose sum of elements is strictly greater than the sum of the non-including elements in such subsequence. If there are multiple solutions, return the subsequence with the minimum size, and if there still exist multiple solutions, return the subsequence with the maximum total sum of all of its elements. A subsequence of an array can be obtained by erasing some, possibly zero elements from the array. Note that the solution with the given constraints is guaranteed to be unique. Also return the answer sorted in non-increasing order. All right, y'all, so that sounds a little confusing at first, so let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 4, 3, 10, 9, and 8. The output is an array of integers 10 and 9. The explanation says the subsequence 10 and 9 and 10 and 8 are minimal such that the sum of their elements is strictly greater than the sum of the elements not included. However, the subsequence 10 and 9 has the maximum total sum of its elements. All right, y'all, so let's break that down one step further, right? So we have this array of integers and we want to find a subsequence that has a sum greater than the sum of the elements not included. So in this case, when we add 10 plus 9, that will give us 19, and 10 plus 8, that will give us 18. And both of those have both of those sums are larger than the sum of all of the non-included elements, right? So when we have the 10 and 8, that's going to give us 18. That's larger than the sum of when we add 4, 3, and 9, which would be 16. And similarly, when we have 10 and 9, the sum of that is 19. That's larger than the sum of all the other elements, which would be 15, right? So they both fit that requirement. So now we have to check if there are multiple solutions, return the subsequence with the maximum size. Now in this case, they both have a size of 2. This has 10 and 9, and this has 10 and 8. So then it says if there still exists multiple solutions, return the subsequence with the maximum total sum. And in this case, 10 and 9 is 19, which has a higher total sum than 10 and 8, which is 18. So that's why we return 10 and 9. Now, I hope that made sense to y'all, but just in case it didn't, let's take a look at example 2. So in example 2, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 4, 4, 7, 6, and 7. The output is 7, 7, 6. So let's break this down one step further and take a look at this explanation. It says the subsequence 7, 7 has the sum of its elements equal to 14, which is not strictly greater than the sum of the elements not included. So the sum of the elements not included would be 4 plus 4 plus 6, which is equal to 14. Therefore, the subsequence 7, 6, 7 is the minimal satisfying conditions. Note that the subsequence has to be returned in non-increasing order, right? So they basically just explained it to us. If we just took this 7 and this 7, that would give us 14. But if we the non-included numbers also equals 14, that would be 8 right there, plus 6 would be 14. So we include the 6 in our subsequence. So now 7, 6, 7, that's going to equal 20, which is larger than the not included elements, which is 8. Now, this is the subsequence, but once again, it says note the subsequence has to be returned in non-increasing order. So that's why the output is 776, because that's it after it's been sorted in non-increasing order. So now that we understand the question, y'all, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not that difficult at all. So let's get into it. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to sort the array in decreasing order, and this will ensure we pick the largest numbers first for our subsequences. So we're going to declare a variable called nums, and we're going to set that equal to nums dot sorted. Put the open up the parentheses, and we are going to say by colon and put the greater than sign. Boom. Then we're going to calculate the total sum of all of the numbers in the array, and this is going to represent the sum of the remaining elements before we start picking. So we're going to declare a variable called pref, and we're going to set that equal to nums dot reduce, open up the parentheses and say 0 comma plus. So what this is going to do is it's going to take nums and it's going to start from index 0 or start the count from 0, and it's going to add all of the elements together in nums. Boom. Then we need to initialize the current subsequence sum by just declaring a variable called sum, and we can set that equal to 0. And then we also need to initialize an empty array to store the resulting subsequence. So we can declare a variable called result, set that equal to an array of integers, and put the parentheses outside like that. Now we need to iterate through the sorted numbers by saying for num in nums, then we can open up the brackets, and we need to add the current number to our subsequent sum. So we're going to say sum plus equals num. Boom. Then we're going to subtract the current number from the remaining total by saying pref minus equals num. Boom. Then we need to add the current number to the result subsequence by saying result.append, open up the parentheses, and pass in num. And now we need to check if the sum of the subsequence is now greater than the sum of the remaining numbers. And if so, we found a minimal subsequence. So we could come underneath this, and we're going to say if sum is greater than pre, we can open up the brackets and we can say break. And then we need to return the subsequence that satisfies the condition by coming down here and just say return results. Y'all, that should be all she wrote. Let's give it a run. Make sure it runs properly before we submit it. Let's see, it's accepted. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. And look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users with Swift. Not too bad at all. So with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.